What's up, my fellow Shield Brothers? Shield Brother 6 here with your weekly dose of history. And today we're going to be talking about Elizabeth II, the Queen of England, her unique rule, and how she ascended to the throne on this February 8th, and she ascended to the throne on February 8th, 1952. Early life. Elizabeth was born at 2:40 in the morning, British time, on the 21st of April, 1926, during the reign of her paternal grandfather, King George V. Her father, the Duke of York, who later became King George VI, was the second son of the king. Her mother, the Duchess of York, later Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother, was the youngest daughter of the Scottish aristocrat, the Earl of Strathmore and Kinghorn. Elizabeth's only sibling was Princess Margaret, who was born in 1930. The two princesses were educated at home under the supervision of their mother and their governess, Marion Crawford. Lessons concentrated on history, language, literature, and music. Winston Churchill described Elizabeth when she was 2 as a character. She has an air of authority and reflectiveness, astonishing in an infant. Her cousin Margaret Rhodes described her as a jolly little girl, but fundamentally sensible and well-behaved. Bottom right, you can see the young queen, Princess Elizabeth, aged 3, April 1929, from the derivative image from Time magazine on the cover for April 29, 1929. Let us continue. Her rule. Elizabeth Alexandra Mary, Queen Elizabeth II, born on the 21st of April 1926, has been Queen of the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand since the 6th of February 1952, when her father passed away. Additionally, she is the head of the Commonwealth and was Queen of 12 countries that have become independent since her ascension. Those countries include Jamaica, Barbados, the Bahamas, Grenada, Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, Tuvalu, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Belize, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Kitts and Nevis. Bottom, you can see a recent photo of the Queen. Her ascension. During 1951, King George VI's health declined, and Elizabeth frequently stood in for him at public events. In early 1952, Elizabeth and Philip set out for a tour of Australia and New Zealand by way of Kenya to go see their commonwealths. On the 6th of February 1952, they had just returned to their Kenyan home, Sagana Lodge, after a night spent at Treetops Hotel, when word arrived of the death of the king, and consequently Elizabeth's immediate ascension to the throne 2 days later. When Elizabeth's ascension, it seemed probable that the royal house would bear her husband's name, becoming the House of Mountbatten, in line with the custom of a wife taking her husband's surname on marriage. But the British Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, and Elizabeth's grandmother, Queen Mary, favored the retention of the House of Windsor, and so on the 9th of April 1952, Elizabeth issued a declaration that Windsor would continue to be the name of the royal house. Coronation. Despite the death of Queen Mary on the 24th of March, the coronation on the 2nd of June 1953 went ahead as planned, as Mary had asked before she died. She wanted to make sure Queen Elizabeth got the proper coronation. The ceremony in Westminster Abbey, which I've heard is beautiful, with the exception of the anointing and communion, was televised for the very first time. Elizabeth's coronation gown was embroidered on her instructions with the floral emblems of the Commonwealth countries, including she had the English Tudor rose, the Scots thistle, the Welsh leek, the Irish shamrock, the Australian wattle, the Canadian maple leaf, the New Zealand silver fern, the South African prota, lotus flowers for India and Ceylon, and Pakistan's wheat, cotton, and jute. Here you can see the coronation portrait of Elizabeth II by Sir Herbert James Gunn, and if you look at the bottom of her dress, you can see the embedding I was talking about that she had stitched of each royal crest. Very faintly you can see in this painting. Her titles. On the 21st of April, 1926 to the 11th of December, 1936, she was Her Royal Highness Princess Elizabeth of York. On the 11th of December, 1936 to the 20th of November, 1947, Her Royal Highness the Princess Elizabeth. On the 20th of November, 1947 to the 6th of February, 1952, she was Her Royal Highness the Princess Elizabeth, Duchess of Edinburgh. On the 6th of February, 1952, she became Her Majesty the Queen. Her experiences. This is why Queen Elizabeth is so unique. She's literally seen the world revolutionize. She's Her most historic visits and meetings include a state visit to the Republic of Ireland, which is very rare with their poor relations, and visits to or from 5 popes. She has seen major constitutional changes such as the de-evolution in the United Kingdom, the Canadian patriation, and the decolonization of Africa. She has reigned through various wars and conflicts involving many of her realms, as well as experienced World War II. She was a nurse during World War II. Here is a map of the British Empire as it was when she became queen, the day that she began her reign. The colonies, protectorates, and mandates are shown in dark red, and the dominions are in pink, and then the United Kingdom itself is shown light red. So you can see much of the British Empire was still intact, and she had a huge empire when she became queen, whereas she has overseen the decolonization of most of it. Significant milestones for the Queen. Significant events have included her coronation in 1953 and the celebrations of her silver, golden, and diamond jubilees in 1977, 2002, and 2012 respectively. In 2017, she became the first British monarch to reach a sapphire jubilee. She is the longest lived and longest reigning British monarch, as well as the world's longest reigning queen, regent, and female head of state, as well as the oldest and longest reigning current monarch and the oldest and longest serving current head of state. She has seen so much go down in the world. Bottom, you can see her at the celebrations of her Diamond Jubilee, 2012. Significant mentions during her lifetime. Elizabeth's popularity sank to a low point in the 90s. Under pressure from the public opinion, she began to pay income tax for the first time, and Buckingham Palace was open to the public. Discontent with the monarchy reached its peak on the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, though Elizabeth's personal popularity and support for the monarchy rebounded after her live television of a broadcast to the world 5 days after Diana's death. In November of 1999, a referendum in Australia on the future of the Australian monarchy favored its retention in preference to an indirectly elected head of state, as well as polls in Britain in 2006 and 2007 revealed strong support for Elizabeth. And in 2012, her Diamond Jubilee year, approval ratings hit 90%. And then the referenda in Tuvalu in 2008 and St. Vincent and the Grenadines in 2009 both rejected proposals to become republics. So Australia, New Zealand, St. Vincent, many of these dominions chose to stay because of how much they loved the Queen. I found that very unique, that they would pass up the opportunity to become a republic or a indirectly ruled head of state in favor of direct rule of the monarch because of their love for her. I think that really shows something about the Queen and her personality. Thank you for watching. As always, this has been Shield Brother 6 with your weekly dose of history. I hope you enjoyed. Please go ahead and leave a like. Please leave a dislike. If you have a comment or suggestion, you can leave that down below in the comment section. And as always, I'll catch you next time.